Lumerians came to the planet. They were right before actually the Atlanteans. They were all feminine energy, and they were covered the entire planet, but they were here with the Palladians. They had actually these beds that were healing beds, and they used crystals to actually do the healing process. And these crystals could heal anything actually. In these beds, they were incredible. They were used to basically repair body parts that were missing, anything that was, going on with the body. These beds could actually cure, and there were frequencies and different types of stuff that was going on in these beds. They were kind of like a tanning bed almost, but they were healing. Now these beds are actually something you can look up. They're called meta beds, I think they're called right now, and they're used. Humans actually finally recreated this. They're very, when you look for them, they're actually talked about if you look in further detail about these beds, but they won't tell you the real reason what the companies that are making these beds. They won't tell you what they're used for or can be used for. They tell you little bits and pieces of some small information that they can be used for, but the actual bed itself can be used for much greater purposes than the product that's being sold for. The description of the product, I guess I should say. So look them up. They're fucking awesome. Sorry, excuse my language, but they are fucking awesome, and they will be changing the future very soon. We will be living in the fifth dimension. So if you're coming to the new Earth, which means that you choose to have 100% light and love in your heart, in your life, and that you want that to resonate in your entire existence, you're bringing your body to heaven with us, which the Earth, Mother Gaia, that's what her name is, Gaia, she's choosing to raise her frequency, her vibration. And so what's going to happen, she's going to raise her vibration, she's going to go up in that frequency, and she's going to move into a different layer of what's called a dimension because of the frequency that she's going to resonate at, the lower frequencies per Hermetics. Hermetics is a scientifically explained way of how frequencies work, and that higher frequencies can't. Oh, I see like a UFO. Higher frequencies cannot accept lower frequencies into its existence. Anything lower than those frequencies will dissipate or not exist. So anything lower than that 500 and something megahertz, I think, or 432, I think it is actually, for the unconditional love. Anything under that will not be existing. So stuff like the word hate, which is not even real, but fear, doubt, worry, any of that stuff will be just dissipate. It will be gone. It won't exist anymore because of those frequencies will be so high on the planet. She won't even have anything. Those won't actually exist. And so stuff like creating, like you having to trust somebody. The word trust, the vibrancy of that, even that word will not exist because you won't need trust in a place where the frequency is unconditional love and so high. It'll just, that word won't even exist, so you won't even have to trust anybody. It'll just be. Also, like, there's no time, so you're not going to actually have to plan anything in the future because there is no future. There's just now, which means that there's just only existing in our lives is the right now. There's no such thing as past, present, future. I mean, past and future. There's just now, which is real actually, but us as humans have to speak in linear terms because we don't know how to speak yet in measure time to speak properly. But soon we'll just be able to. It'll just happen without that stuff. We won't need time. Time is going to go so fast soon that you will resonate so high in frequency because of your spirituality, and then it'll just disappear. Time will just go and you'll just, what's going to happen is we're going to resonate finally with the law of one, which means that all of us are going to remember what it's like, or it will be but not what it's like, but we will remember and become the one, which means me and you and everybody else are all the same soul in different pieces of us all around the world. But we're going to actually have a moment where we're like, it sounds, we talk about it all the time, we're all one, blah, 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 but it's bigger than that. It's actually where we're going to actually know this and feel this and like understand that we are just one. And we're going to feel all the lives that we've ever lived, which is all of you and me. We're gonna know at one point and feel at one point that we're just that, and we're not gonna even know that there's separation. So it's gonna be like this thing that happens, and we don't know actually what. Nobody really knows, because our human brains can't function properly with this information. We freak out a little bit. So what it feels like to be the one, because we don't know if there's more than just source, like God is what, if you want to call it God, or the God of of everything, the central sun, or we don't know if we're bigger than that. We think we have an idea of that we're all just one, which means we're eventually just one source of energy, which means we all come from the same source of energy, which means eventually we will feel like we're just that one entity. But to me, I believe there's something bigger that we don't know about. It's too much for our brains to even think about. So there might be multiple. Like when I asked Source, where did Source come from? Like, where did God come from? Who is the creator of God? And Source told me that there's multiple sources, and that the reason I knew I was speaking to Source directly is because when I used to pray when I was younger, I would get confirmation from God, the God I was praying to, and it would be confirmation, like, so I would know that it was proof. It was like proof that this was real. And the same thing happens now for me, in a different way, but it's the source that I set out an intention to get confirmation from is giving me this information, and I know it's real, but I can't prove that to you without you feeling the confirmation or seeing confirmation. But you can try it, you can pray, or you can set an intention out or ask Source to show you something and show you proof. You can ask for any type of proof you want. You can ask them to show you proof, or you can ask it to show you a specific proof of, like, let me see a rainbow colored zebra or something, and you'll see that eventually in the day or just within a few minutes, and that'll show you that Source is listening and showing you proof of whatever you're trying to get answers for. So I was asking Source, and Source told me kind of like there's multiple sources, it's unlimited. Source doesn't even remember where his parents came from, or its parents came from, because they're like, it's doing the same thing we are. It's coming back over and over and over and over and over again as a reincarnate being, and learning from that. So it has to come back and keep as reincarnating as a soul, not on Earth, but other places, I guess, because there's more than just Earth. Earth is the only place that we get to be physical, though. It's the only place in the world, I mean the universe, that's physicality. Everything else is non-physical. So Earth is a special place because it's the only place in the world, universe, that we'll ever get to feel the physical part of a being. Meaning, it's the only place we'll actually get emotions too, because emotions are outside of Earth. They don't exist outside of Earth. When we're a soul, we don't have the same thing. We have every bit of knowledge that we're supposed to have, but we don't get to physically feel that unless we're on the planet Earth. And Earth is very special because Earth being physical, and the only place physical, it means that everything outside of Earth atmosphere is non-physical. So space is out there, these planets are out there, but they're not physical. So that means that we're not being told the truth fully about what's outside of this planet when they go to space, when they fly these rockets to space. This is what I've learned through past life regression. Many thousands of people that do past life regression through quantum healing hypnosis therapy speaking to the subconscious or the all-knowing source, we get to speak to that physically, and it speaks through the client, and it knows the answers to anything you ask it. So Dolores Cannon has found this information to be true because she's done thousands of these sessions, and multiple of her students thousands of sessions. So we've been able to basically get the scientific proof by repeating something over and over and over again. You get, and having other people be able to do the same thing and get the same results. That's how we know that there's proof scientifically, but science community and other people will not admit to this, of course, because they don't know anything about this, because they're not experienced with speaking to the subconscious. Subconscious is what we talk about when we do a past life regression. We get to call the higher self through, or what Dolores called the subconscious. It's different than psychology because the subconscious is something else in psychology, and psychologists hate Dolores Cannon, and they don't like us being past life regressionists, because we don't consider the subconscious and like the ego the same thing at all, because we've been able to speak to those things and get them to speak through the clients thousands of times, and it's something different than what psychologists would try to explain based on what their perception of an ego is. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I'm saying that the ego will speak through a client and it will show you what it is. And this all-knowing source speaks through all of us. It's the same voice in all of us. The difference is it takes on different personalities and different aspects because it's pieces of our souls that have been fragmented. And basically these pieces of our souls are helping us from all the other lifetimes we've ever lived, and are living or have lived, past life or future. So the subconscious is something bigger. It's the same thing in all of us, but it's a higher self of us. And when we get down to it, the very end, if it was linear, we're all one. We're all one source. So our subconscious, eventually the higher self. After the higher self, there's just one. We're all the same. So that higher self turns into what? The source, the God, the one, which is us, which is you, which is me. We're all one. So our higher selves is like kind of an individualized thing for each soul, but also our souls recycle. So we also are more than one soul. We don't just get one soul in our existence of individuation, or compartmentalization is where we are able to experience what we think is separate, but it's an individual pocket of the same energy that was created from source. But when you put it all together, we're all just one energy, and we're all just God. So you and me are the same God, basically, or source. So that makes it separate. In a small glimpse of our reality, we feel the separation, but we're not separate at all. We're actually one. So, I don't know what that beep is, but anyway, just wanted to explain that to... Sorry, I went on a tangent. I just wanted to explain that to you all, and just hopefully maybe put that out there of what I've experienced and what I've learned. And I know I've only learned a glimpse of what's really going on, but I know that the information that I've received is so close to... How do I say this? For the people that have done past life regression, and also there's a future part of it that you can do that's talked to this higher self, or the SC, we call it, the subconscious. If you were able to do that yourself, and if you have before, it gives you these answers that are so perfection and pristine, and just like there's an all-knowing of information from this source of energy and information that comes through. And so I can't say that like I know the truth and I know everything, but I can say from this being, or us in the future, or from knowing this and speaking to this entity or speaking to ourselves, or whatever you want to call it, through clients, and watching it being talked to through clients and Dolores, and thousands of times I've seen this now. It's so incredibly awesome to know that there's this bigger part of us, and we're all part of it, but we are all it. And the cool part is that we finally made it to this point where Dolores Canyon has found a way to speak to this entity without using a pendulum, which is the same thing, or tarot, which speaks to the same part of us. That tarot connects to the same subconscious. The pendulum does. Anything that has to do with divination, or you connecting to any type of like psychic abilities or the future or anything, that's the subconscious. That's the part of our brain that doesn't speak language. It just watches us live in these bodies, and it can't speak to us very well. It doesn't speak language, so it watches us do all these stupid things, and like it wants to be like, stupid, you know the answer, but I can't tell you because I don't speak a language. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch you fuck up and like not make. You already know this. You know this. It says all the time. So it like watches us, and it's like almost like there's two parts of us in our bodies. There's us, the conscious part of us, and there's the unconscious part of us. And that unconscious part of us knows everything, but it can't speak a language, so it must do other ways to speak to us, or try to speak to us, which is basically our soul speaking to our bodies and using our bodies as our bodies are basically used by the soul to show us information and tell us if we're staying on our path or not. So when you get sick, which is not actually a thing, we don't get sick, we have things that happen to us that the soul's delivering messages to us every single time. All of it is always a message from the soul. If there's something you think is wrong with you, or you're told by a doctor or medical people or whatever, I believe that, I don't know if the doctors, and forgive me, don't make this offensive or anything, I don't know if they're programmed because they go to school for a specific thing, and they know what information they learned and they believe that, or if they're actually part of something that's darker and they know what they're doing. Because I know some doctors have told me information and just like denied some really scary stuff where I've medically proven the opposite, and I've been able to cure myself of some really scary shit, and doctors will deny it, or they'll just tell you that you're gonna die, and they'll tell you all kinds of messed up stuff. And this is coming from, this may sound crazy to you, and I don't really care because I know the truth, but this is something that is very passionate for me. I'm very passionate about, and it's very important for me to portray this information to whoever wants to listen. Because I'm not saying the doctors are evil or they're part of any negative thing, but they might be. I don't know that part, but I know I've experienced some scary stuff from my doctors when they're denying what I'm telling them that I know is true. For example, I don't talk about this a lot on publicly because it's looked at very weirdly, but I was diagnosed with HIV in 2010. The partner that I was with decided to convince me to stop using condoms, which a lot of gay people don't do that, but I was using condoms, and I decided to listen to him and not use the condom. I don't know why he talked me out of it to use them. And the next day, I was infected by HIV. Now, he purposely did that. I don't know why his purpose was to do that, but assuming that he knew that he had HIV, which he did, and he gave it to me on purpose, he convinced me to stop using condoms, which I don't know the really purpose of his reasoning for that, but I'm okay with it, because I've known ever since I was a little kid that I would get HIV, and that I would be a gift, or I would bring information to the world about HIV that is not known yet, and I would help people through getting it, and help them through just many different parts of getting HIV, and the education part of it, and just the resources that you need. I knew I was going to be that person. Do I know why I was going to be that person? I don't really know why, but I was always connected to Jesus since I was little. Which is another crazy thing. I was always connected to Jesus since I was like 5 years old, and I would tell my mom about it, and she didn't really understand it, I don't think, but he's always been my spirit guide. He's always been there. He's always been teaching me things since I was a little kid. I would be connected to Jesus, and I didn't know why either. I was a smart kid. I didn't have any clue that I was spiritual or what that meant. I just was. Some of the things when I look back as an adult now, I'm like, wow, holy crap, I was like a smart little kid telling my mom, no mom, it's not, take their eyes, see through their eyes, like the Bible says. Eye for an eye, take their eye if they take yours. Well, no. What that really means is see through their eyes. So you want to see through the person's eyes while you're on earth before you die, because when your body dies, the first thing we have to do is watch the life we just lived on this planet, this lifetime, through the eyes of every individual that we interacted with, including plants, animals, humans, and insects. So meaning you're going to watch through my eyes what you've experienced, or what I've experienced with my interaction with you, or vice versa. You know, anybody that you've interacted with, you're going to see through their eyes how you treated them. So if you were treating them, you know, positively, that's awesome, which I'm really proud of, you know, the way I've treated people, because I think most of that has been very positive, but there's times where I'm going to feel it. I'm going to know, you know, that it hurt them and I didn't treat them very kindly. As a soul, that's something we can handle. It's not going to hurt us because we don't have these emotions when we're watching this as a soul. The very first thing that we do when we leave our bodies, when we pass away and leave our body, is we watch the life. Well, somebody comes and gets us first and takes us to the other side. The other side is here. It's not heaven somewhere else. It's here on the planet, and the other side is actually a family member or an angel or something comes and gets us and takes us to that other side, because we don't know where it is. So we got to go to the light, but somebody's got to take us there with them. So the very first stop after they pick us up and take us to the other side is all of us have to go through this. There's no stepping around this. It's all thousands of lifetimes of us doing past life regression and going through the death experience. We've seen this with every person. There's not one single person that doesn't have to do this. So that's how we know the steps, what happens when you pass away, you know, through your body. Like, everybody goes through the same exact steps. There's no getting around this. Some people do, their soul gets attached to a person on earth. That's because they can't find the light and somebody didn't come get them or something, and their soul went to try to find the light right away and then got attached to a person that had light inside of them that was still alive. Anyway, the first thing we do is watch the life we just lived on this planet, lifetime, just this single one, through the eyes of every individual that we've interacted with. And like I said, including animals, plants, insects, and humans. So however you treated anything, you're going to watch that. And I know there's going to be some really painful moments, but you got to watch it with your spiritual team. We all have our own spiritual guides and members of this council type thing that is there watching it with us as a soul. And nobody judges us. Nobody is ever, when you're a soul, you're already knowledgeable about everything, but you have to watch these things so that way you can learn from them and grow as a soul. And so how we do that is actually right when that person that you're watching through the experience of them, how you treated them, if you did something very negative, you're going to have to come back and redo it. And that's a karmic experience. So because of karma, you're going to have to come back and redo that lifetime, and you have to fix it. Meaning your soul is going to sit there and make a contract with the other soul. So let's say my soul was sitting there and watching this horrible time that I was treating somebody like crap, and their soul came and flies up, and this is what kind of happens. It since we're multidimensional, the soul that we've interacted with, that we're watching, that we owe some karmic debt with, comes to us right there at that moment, and we make a contract with that soul. So let's say my mom and I were treating each other like crap, and like I have to fix it. And so her soul's gonna fly up while I'm sitting there watching my lifetime and how I treated her, and she's gonna say, "Wow, son, we both were really awful to each other. So I'm gonna be the son this time, and you're gonna be the mom. We can switch. Let's switch." So my next lifetime on Earth coming forward is gonna be, I'm the mom this time, and she's the son. That way we are able to learn something from this because we treated each other like crap in this lifetime. So we have to come back and fix it. And we have to do that over and over and over and over and over and over until we finally fucking get it. Some of us have, and I know this is me, have messed up so many times. We've come back and built so many soul contracts over and over and over and over. That's really why we do have parents and siblings. Those are the closest soul family that we have, that we really messed up, so they come back as family members like that. Our brothers and our sisters and our moms and dads are very close to us with these soul connections, so they have these ties to where we gotta fix this as a soul. So they've been with us a long time in our past lives, and somewhere along the lines we keep fucking up, so we have to keep coming back. And so our moms and our dads are these connections with these souls that we've really messed up on, and they're deep ties, so that's why they come back as those types of family members. And so we have to fix it. And so next time when me and my mom come back,